the back of the limousine. Notice that at that point, Kellerman did not call for help. He could have, but he didn't. Now let's go down to the bottom frame. So from what we are seeing here in the top frame is about frame 280. Now from 280 to 300, what he is doing, he's turning around to the front. Now I believe that both Roy Kellerman and William Greer, well, I don't believe, I know that they were turning around when a 295 shot was fired and did not see that. So what you're seeing in the bottom frame is approximately frame 300. Now again, what's interesting is Roy Kellerman is looking straight ahead. He does not call for help. And my question is depict frame 295. And I believe this is key. This is key frame. Frame 295 is key in proving that the single bullet theory is incorrect. If you look closely at this frame, what you are seeing is a victory trail. The victory trail at this point, you can see, enters the back of the president's skull just above the occipital lobe. It transits through the frontal lobe just at the hairline, and then it continues a little bit farther, and it goes into Connally's right wrist. Now what's interesting about this is that when you run the Zapruder film, the film has to be raised. So when you look at the film, unless you study the individual frame, all you will be seeing in that is from this approximately this point upward. So until you have the individual frame and analyze the individual frame, the whole frame, you won't be able to see the vapor trail. So what I believe has occurred at this point is that the president was hit. I believe this was a magic bullet, C399, and what it is doing at this point, it's hitting the back of the president's skull about 2,000 feet per second. It's slowed down by impact, and then as it enters Connally's right wrist, it slows down to about 1,500 feet per second, and then enters into his left thigh. The reason it didn't break his left thigh bone is because the speed was decreased as it first hit Kennedy and then Connally. What you're seeing is frame 312 and 313 of the Zapruder film. I believe about 1.2 seconds has been cut out of the film at this point between two frames. I believe the bottom frame is a composite frame. To better understand what I'm talking about, what we have to do is look over in the sprocket area of frame 312. What we're seeing at this point in top in this frame here of 312 is we're seeing Mary Mormon, and what she is doing at this point, she's directing her attention towards the president. In the very next frame, she will be directing her attention towards the motorcyclist in the side point here. This is only an 18th of a second. This indicates about a second difference in time between the two frames. Another thing, if we pay close attention, there was a young girl walking in the background. What she is doing at this particular time in frame 312 is she is coming towards the presidential limousine, and she is in the process of lowering her right leg to the ground. As is swinging on, this is frame 313. Notice the girl in the background at this point has placed her right leg on the ground and is in the process of raising her left leg at this point. Although it is not obvious, I wanted to point this out. The thing we want to pay attention to, or close attention to, is Mary Mormon again. And what she's doing at this point is she's getting ready to take her photograph at 3:15. And she has turned from looking at the president to looking directly in front of her at a motorcyclist. This is a possible movement and then an 18th of a second. Also, direct your attention inside the presidential limousine. I believe this is a composite frame of the president's head blast. I believe an 18th of a second is not enough time to have the whole apex of the shot shown in this film. Let's direct our attention to the front seat. Again, a researcher by the name of William Cooper in California in 1988 believed that the driver shot Kennedy. He, like myself, believed that the president was shot from the front at this point. Unlike myself, he believed that the shadow of Roy Kellerman was a .45 revolver. He believed that the shadow on Roy Kellerman's head was a .45 revolver. I do not. I do agree with Bill Cooper that Greer shot the president, although I believe that this was edited out between frame 312 and 313. This is the Mary Mormon photograph 315. This Polaroid shot, I believe, demonstrates a conspiracy or proof that William Robert Greer shot the president from the front. What we want to do at this point is direct our attention to a shadow under, this is Emmett Hudson, under his feet. Now, the shadow is very small under his feet. What we are seeing is a combination shadow. We are seeing a shadow from him, and we are also seeing a shadow with the visor. So this is what we would be seeing normally. What we're seeing under here is unknown. This is a false shadow. Also notice that the shadow is darker than the rest of the photograph. I believe this was to hide. If Greer used a .45, he was left-handed, the ejected shell casing could be hidden in this point, and they had covered this up. Or if he used a .38 revolver, the smoke coming from the revolver cylinder could be in that area. I am not sure what type of weapon he used. Another thing I want to do is direct your attention to is this point here, a little chip on the president's right shoulder. What we are looking at is what I believe to be Harper fragment. And if the shot was fired from the front, the fragment was found, this fragment here was found by Billy Harper, a medical student, the next day about 5 p.m. And the fragment was found about 25 feet to the rear of the president. So I believe this indicates that the shot came from the front. Later, when the fragment was analyzed, it was proven that it came from the occipital. It was a piece of the occipital bone in the back of the president's skull. Also, I want to bring your attention to Roy Kellerman. At this time, Roy Kellerman is calling for help, although it isn't clear, because Nellie Connally, is directly in front of him, so a partial view of him is blocked. What is interesting about this is, at this point, John Connally had already fallen to his seat, but has raised up at this point, and what's strange is, I believe what he is doing, he's trying to see what's going on in the front seat. Now you can see this movement in the Mary Muchmore film, the Norval Nix film, although it is less clear in the Zapruder film. So I believe that Governor Connally realized that something happened in the front seat area and was in the process of checking that out. Discussing Roy Kellerman in more depth, I wanted to bring up the point that the night of the day of the assassination, the Mormon photograph was confiscated for about 3 hours. I believe that during that period of time, the paper negative was destroyed and never located, and only the copy print, which we see a copy of, exists today. So moving on, let's pay attention to this Lola, and what we want to look at is Roy Kellerman. And what Roy Kellerman is doing at this point, I think, is significant. So this is the first time, in other words, what we're seeing here is his microphone, and that he is holding that in his right hand. His left hand is clear. I believe this is a frame of the Mary Muchmore film. This photo was taken just prior to the president being shot at frame 313. What is interesting in this frame is as we look at Roy Kellerman, we can see his left hand, I believe, going up towards his ear. That would be just on the far side of Jean Hill. Jean Hill is the woman in red here. Again, next to her is Mary Mormon. She is just getting in ready to take her 315 shot. And also notice up on these steps leading to grassy knoll, this is Emmett Hudson. Notice that no shadow exists because Nellie Connally's head blocks the view of Roy Kellerman. This left here, I believe, this is what was seen either in the Mary Mormon photo or directly prior to. In other words, Greer has his finger in his left ear and is getting ready at this point to call for help. Point a little bit clearer, this is what I believe this Roy Kellerman is doing in frame 315 of the Mary Mormon photo. Notice he is using his right hand to call for help, and his left hand, I believe at that point, has just come down from his ear and is in position as indicated. This is frame 42 of the Mary Muchmore film. This frame had been burnt, as you can see at this point here. What is key about this corresponds to the fatal headshot. Notice where the burnt mark is. I believe that what is hidden by this mark is probably the tip of the weapon used by William Robert Greer. This affidavit was taken on November 22, 1963 by Hugh Bystander. Bystander was a photographer next to Willis in Dealey Plaza. What is interesting about this affidavit, I believe that this proves that the driver shot Kennedy. Notice the underlined part of the document. The document says, I also remember seeing what looked like a nickel-plated revolver in someone's hand in the president's car. I believe Bystander saw William Robert Greer with the weapon, and he had placed this in the report. It is a very little-known document, but it is extremely important. This is a photograph taken from the grassy knoll. Because of the Oliver Stone movie, JFK, many believed that this was the location where the fatal headshot was fired. I do not, for several reasons. I had talked to Ed Hoffman. Ed Hoffman was a deaf mute who could see this position from where he was located. He had noticed two people behind the picket fence at this location. Because he was a mute, I do not believe he could hear the shot. He did say or tell me a few mute signs that he saw a puff of smoke come from the rifle at this point. If it did, I don't believe the bullet struck the president. If a shot did hit the president, in other words, the truck that you're looking at is in the exact location of where the president received a fatal headshot. So if a shot came from the grassy knoll, as Ed Hoffman and Oliver Stone believed, it would have exited through the president's skull on the rear left side, and the autopsy photographs do not indicate this. So I believe if a shot was fired from this location, it missed. Parkland. This photograph was taken at Parkland Hospital. What is key about this photograph is, if you notice, this is William Robert Greer bending over, cleaning out the inside of the limousine. Also notice at the bottom of his feet is a bucket. What I believe Greer is doing at this point is he's getting rid of what I believe was the Z224 shot. And what happened was this bullet ended up in front of Governor Connally on the floor. And I believe at this point Greer is taking the bullet and disposing of it out of the carpet at this point. Also notice another Secret Service agent. What they are doing at this point is the hardtop that wasn't used that day was flown or driven to left field and placed on the presidential limousine. Why this was done remains unclear, but it is interesting at any rate. Another thing that is going on is they are removing the soft top, and then the soft top goes in the compartment in the rear of the trunk. So what they're doing is taking the soft convertible top off this point and placing it into the rear truck bed. I had talked to Bill Hess, the builder of the limousine, when they arrived in Cincinnati, asking him about a bullet hole being in the front rear compartment. He said there was none, that everything was intact, there was no wiring cut, so everything was intact in the trunk area. So again, the shot had to come from the rear and then went through the cushion. William Robert Greer cleaned out certain portions of the limousine. The limousine was taken to left field and loaded aboard a C-130. The presidential limousine was then flown back to the White House garage the afternoon of the assassination. And this is a photograph of the limousine after it arrived at the White House garage that evening. What is interesting about this photograph is the muddy condition of the tires of the car. On November 22nd, the weather in Dallas is very clear, so it appears that someone taking the limousine from the airport to the White House garage had pulled the car off the road and had mopped up and cleaned up the car and gotten rid of any incriminating evidence. Also notice this photograph was taken after the car was cleaned up. Notice the difference. This is frame Z. This is frame 238 of the Zapruder film. What is important in this frame is the cushion area in back of the president. I believe this frame shows where the bullet from the rear impacted, striking the cushion just behind the president. I believe the damage area is at this point here. take a couple seconds to look at the photograph. This photograph was taken after the presidential limousine was cleaned in the White House garage. There are several points of interest I want to direct your attention to. Although it is quite faint, if you notice at this point here, there was a slight damage to the grill area behind the cushion. I believe that this cushion never made it. In other words, the cushion was taken out and I believe destroyed. Another cushion, I believe, was sent. The cushion that was used in San Antonio was delivered to Hess and Eisenhart. If you could see a photograph of the rear cushion taken in San Antonio, you would notice that it had like a rolled and pleated area, or a rolled area here which extends at the corner. This seat does not have that. Also, the upholstery, although where the bullet hole appeared in the Commission Exhibit 353, the black and white photo does not do the bullet hole justice. The hole could have been filled at this point. Let's continue, and also Governor Connally. Let's look. Another fragment was found in the jump seat in front of Governor Connally. I believe this was the Z224 shot, which struck Connally in the back and exited through his chest. It did not hit his right breast. I talked to Bill Hess, and he said that there was damage in this area here on the floorboard. And so, also, debris, Commission Exhibit 840, was found in that general location. So I believe that bullet struck Connally at 224 was not the magic bullet. It was another bullet. The bullet that Z295, I believe, was the magic bullet. Let's direct our attention between the two visors in this location here. At this point, what we're seeing is where a bullet struck the chrome strip between the two visors. From other film footage that I will show shortly, I can prove this point. This occurred at frame 329. So, in essence, what we have is at this point, I believe, all the ammunition recovered from Oswald's rifle, magic bullet, the fragments 567, 569, which were found in the front seat here, just below where the bullet struck the chrome strip, were the only evidence linked to Oswald's rifle. I believe all other evidence had been gotten rid of the night of the assassination. This is a pan film of the Zapruder film. It is taken from frame 330 to 332. What is interesting about this film, if you direct your attention between the two visors, you can see a flare clearly in frame 331. The flare only lasts for 3 frames. I believe what we are seeing in these 3 frames is when the last bullet fired from Oswald's rifle missed all the occupants in the presidential limousine and struck the chrome strip. After the bullet struck the chrome strip, I believe it fragmentized, and Commission Exhibit 567, 569 was one bullet, and that bullet was fired from Oswald's rifle. This is a photograph taken after the presidential limousine was rebuilt at Hess and Eisenhart in Cincinnati, Ohio. They started on this project on December 12, 1963. What is interesting about this, the original cost of building the limousine in 1961 was $200,000. After the assassination, the cost to rebuild the limousine was $500,000. This was called Project D2 Operation Quick Fix. This is the rear cushion as the limousine looks today. Notice the cording along the trim of the cushion. Notice also the back grille has been replaced where it was damaged. So they had completely rebuilt the back end, the cushion area, and grill area of the car. I had talked to Bill Hess a couple hours in '92 over various issues. And another interesting issue I found out at that point was the limousine was rented by the Secret Service for $500 a year. I find this quite amazing. This is a photograph of Howard Brennan. Brennan was sitting on a concrete wall in front of a reflecting bowl directly in front of the Texas School Book Depository. What you're looking at in this photograph, at this point here, this is the 6th floor. This is where the alleged sniper fired all 3 shots with Oswald's rifle. Brennan, from where he is sitting to the 6th floor, is 130 feet away. One has to remember that Brennan was watching the parade like many others until the shots rang out, only caught the sniper view briefly. The question that needs answering, did Brennan see Oswald or an Oswald look-alike? This is James Altgens' famous photograph Z255. What is interesting about this photo is its history. Many believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was standing on the front steps of the school book depository at the time of the assassination. I believe this to be the case, and I believe I can prove this in just a few more seconds. What we want to look at this point, however, is the occupants inside the presidential limousine. When Altgens took this photograph, he had zoomed in on the occupants of the limousine, and in doing so, the background where the Oswald look-alike or Oswald was standing was blurred as it is in the shot. What is interesting, this photograph was released on the AP wire service approximately, I would say, 2:30. So about 1:30, Altgens took 5 photographs, this one being the most important. He took them over to the Dallas Morning News, that was the AP office, and at that point, about 12:30, the film was developed. This negative has disappeared over the years. Now, the film then had gone across the wire. Now, this is the film that had gone across the wire. In my research, in another photograph of this photo, I will show you the photograph prior to it going over the wire. Now, at this point, this photo was released about, I would say, about 2:30 that afternoon. And what is key about this is, at the press conference given at Parkland Hospital, Dr. Malcolm Perry had mentioned the president being hit in the throat by a front shot. I believe somebody who had contact with this photograph had altered this. I will prove that at this point. Let's go back and look at original